Information presented on this program and by its guest is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of personalized investment advice, but are limited to the dissemination of general information and may not be suitable for members of the listening audience. A professional advisor, attorney, or tax professional should be consulted before implementing any of the strategies presented.
Are you retired or getting close? Welcome to Retirement Lifestyles with Patrick McNally, where it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedom you need to live your dream retirement. Are there challenges on the way? You bet. Inflation, the economy, and the ups and downs of today's markets will try to rob you of your dreams. But take heart and take notes, because what you're about to learn will put you on the winning side of life for the rest of your life. Now, here's the host of Retirement Lifestyles, Patrick McNally.
Good morning, Reading. Good morning to the North State, and welcome to Retirement Lifestyles. I am your host, Patrick McNally. This is the show where it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedom to live your dream retirement. And with me, as always, my friend and fellow financial advisor, Mr. Rick Comer. Good morning, my man.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. I've got my voice a little more today.
Yeah, a little bit. I can hear a little rasp in there, but yeah, a little bit. So what's going on,
well,
or
it's not the change of the season,
right?
It's not the allergies.
Yeah,
it's football.
Yeah,
is what it is.
All right.
And yeah, we played Red Bluff last night. Foothill
Nice.
versus Red Bluff. We went down there.
Yep.
And we pulled it off. It was an exciting game. We won by
Nice.
literally a field goal. That was it.
Wow.
And we pulled it off at the end. There was a few times there at the beginning where we're like, this game is over. We were down 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, we got to battle back, and our boys battled back.
Now, is Ryan back 100%, or is he still in some of the aches
Ryan's
and pains?
back 100. He's back 100%.
Nice.
Still has a few aches and pains,
Yeah.
from a big hit up in Susanville
Yeah.
and his hamstring, but he's pretty much, I'd say 99.5.
There you go. All right.
So, yeah, super excited.
So
He's
congratulations
back
to
on it.
Ryan and the Foothill football team.
Super fun, super fun. Rick, we got a loaded show. Hey, man, we got, there's this thing coming up, in November.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Something about you get to pick people
like voting or
to
something.
boss you around or something like that.
Pretty much, to make all kinds of changes
Right.
and freak you out, about
yeah.
life.
Yeah. We call it the election.
Boom. We got an election coming up, as everyone knows. And one of the biggest topics, Rick, that always comes up is what is a potentially new administration, a change, whatever, going to do to the stock market.
Right, and should we make changes now before the election in
Is
order
the world
to...
over?
Yeah.
That's what, that's basically what a lot of people think.
I
And
had that
so-
conversation this week.
Okay,
with some people.
we're going to get into this right
Yeah.
away, but that's going to be the big one, guys, is we're going to be talking about, I kind of framed it this way. Who does the stock market love more, Democrats or Republicans?
Ooh.
So we need to figure that out. And now I also want to preface it with this, though. We're talking about the market.
Right.
We a couple weeks ago we talked about some taxes, which I'm going to bring
Yep.
back in, but we're going to go into some other things. But this is specifically worried about the market. So if you're out there worried that a new administration or changes and so forth are going to happen, that it's going to blow up the market,
Right.
we're going to talk about that
Awesome.
today. Also, because each and every week we want to bring you different topics like Social Security, taxes, IRAs, Medicare, all financial planning. If you're in that retirement stage, you're getting close. That's what this show is about. We are also going to be talking about IRAs. And specifically with IRAs, what should you do with a 401k when you retire from your job? So we're going to give you some ideas there. Later on in the show, we'll have a market update and then also some comments and questions from our audience. So, hey guys, you know what to do next. I want you to go refill your coffee, get your pen and notepad out, and we'll get going here in about 2 minutes.
Listening to Retirement Lifestyles with Patrick McNally.
Okay, guys, so we're taking a quick break, and I thought this would be a great time to invite you to join the Retirement Lifestyles Inner Circle. If you like listening to the radio show, you're going to love this. Each and every week, I'm going to email you all of our most updated financial planning tips and strategies right to your inbox. On top of that, whenever we create a new checklist or a guide, you'll be the first to get it. All the updated numbers for Social Security, Medicare, taxes, and more. You'll get previews of upcoming live radio shows and notifications of when we record new videos. Membership to the Inner Circle is free, so don't wait. Sign up today at patrickmcnally.com and get immediate access to our exclusive content. Visit patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com. Do you have questions about Medicare? Are you getting close to 65? Do you know someone coming up on 65? If so, Medicare is right around the corner, and if it hasn't happened already, your mailbox is about to explode with Medicare information from insurance companies. Which company do you pick? What's Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D? Oh my gosh, how many parts are there? Is Medicare automatic? Is it free? Does it cover everything? These are just some of the questions we get all the time. If you want to cut through all the noise and learn the facts, I want to give you a free copy of my 2024 Medicare Quick Reference Guide. You'll know when all of the important enrollment periods begin, what the updated costs are for the different parts, and the new annual deductibles. It will also show you all of the different supplemental insurance plans to choose from and the differences in their benefits. This is a wonderful resource for yourself, or if you know someone getting close to age 65 that has questions. Simply visit patrickmcnally.com today and you can request a free copy of the 2024 Medicare Quick Reference Guide. Go to patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com.
Welcome back to Retirement Lifestyles.
Welcome back to the show. This is Retirement Lifestyles. I'm your host, Patrick McNally, with Mr. Rick Comerick, and we're going to be launching into our topic on, we got the election coming up, and a lot of people right now are kind of freaking out about, any kind of administration change, what is this going to do to the stock market? And Rick, we've been doing this show for like 13 years, and it seems like, every 4 years we have this conversation, and we want to bring up, like, okay, what can we expect? What are some predictions? Whatever you want to call it. And you can really look to the past to kind of give us some understanding of what should potentially happen in the future. But there's always that comment of it's different this time.
Right, and it very well could be. Just because we can look to the past, we don't know. This time it may be different. We don't know until it occurs, and that's the thing is you never know in advance. That's why it's unpredictable.
So we're going to go back 44 years, all the way back to 1980. And we're going to be looking at what the market did depending on whether or not we had a Democrat or a Republican president in office. And so hopefully this is going to help you guys out, kind of give you a little more perspective. Now, remember, we're talking about the markets today. We're specifically what a change in administration has to do on the markets. And I want to give away, actually, I've got a chart here, Rick, super handy. That's why I'm going to be going off right now. Kind of this side-by-side comparison. It lists each president, and obviously if they're Democrat or Republican, and what the S&P 500 index was the average return over their tenure in office.
Yeah.
Folks, if you want a copy of this, I would love to send you it. It's a PDF, and I'll be glad to send that to you. So as you're listening to the show here, if you want to call Kelly here at 221-1402, 221-1402, give him your name and email, and I'll send this out right after the show. But let's just go all the way back, Rick, to Ronald Reagan. Now, obviously, this is the early 80s, 1981 through 1989, Reagan, 40th U.S. president. And at that point in time, he was having all kinds of critics at that time saying, this is the former actor. He didn't even have the experience to be president. He's belligerent toward the Soviet Union. This could lead to a nuclear war. Reaganomics is dangerous. It's going to blow everything up. It's not going to work.
Right.
And so, that's what all the critics are going to say.
Yeah. So people were wondering, hey, should we get out of the market at that point?
Do we need to just go to cash?
Right.
We hear that today.
Yeah.
What actually happened? What were the returns over his tenure there?
So the annual returns from the S&P 500 over that time frame, which was 81 to 89, so we're looking at, of course, 8 years, close to a decade, 14.2% per year.
14.2 per year average.
Yeah, and if we think of
crushing it,
an average over the last 100 years, maybe being around 10%, this would be above average.
Absolutely,
during
absolutely.
That time. Yeah.
So you look at that, and Republicans are going crazy right now. Reagan.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Awesome. All right. We slide into George Herbert Walker Bush.
Right.
41st U.S. president, 89 to 93. At that point, his critics are saying he's not a strong leader like Reagan. You know, he's kind of a little more passive,
Yeah.
a little more lazy, maybe lacks vision. We got the whole vision thing going on, right?
Right.
Part of the Reagan administration that doubled the national debt.
Ooh, ouch.
Oh yeah. That's a blemish.
Yeah.
Doubling the national debt. So this is this is gonna crash.
You can't
It's gonna
do
blow.
as
You
good
can't
as
keep
Reagan.
doing this.
Yeah,
No. How'd it do?
And he got 15.7% per year
What?
on average over those 4 years because he was a
Positive?
one-termer.
Wait. Positive?
Positive
15.7?
15.7. So outdid Reagan's average annual return.
Okay, so now okay. Well, let's just keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, we got two wins for the Republican side.
Right? So that leads us to who's next, right?
Bill.
Old
Slick Willie. You remember that?
Yep.
Slick Willie. Number 42, 1993 to 2001. 93, man, I was in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rick was like, you were probably like, you were just born or something. I don't even know what year.
No, same.
All right. Back in the 90s to 2001, let's talk about what his critics were saying at the time. So we got a Democrat now in office.
Yep.
Obviously, he was the governor from a small state. He's unproven on the national scale. He's a little governor.
Yeah.
Tax increase. He wants
From
tax
Arkansas,
increases,
right?
Rick.
From
Yes.
Arkansas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good job.
Yeah.
You remember that from U.S. history class, like
Yeah.
U.S. economic class,
Right.
Tax increases are going to sink the U.S. economy. Government takeover of healthcare and nationalize 20% of the U.S. economy. That sounds very familiar to what we hear today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of the stuff we hear.
So definitely you got to have a crash during this time, right?
Okay, how'd the Democrats do from 93 to 2001?
Okay, once again, looking at that 8-year period, and the S&P average annual return during that period, 17.2% per year.
17.2. Yeah. Okay, so we got positive returns.
Yeah.
But we flipped to a Democrat, and
Yeah, and even
and actually a
more
little better
positive. Yeah, exactly.
positive return. Interesting. All right, let's keep this thing going, Rick. Let's go to number 43, W.
Okay. Yep.
We got W coming, 01 to 09.
Yep.
George Walker Bush, 43rd U.S. presidents. Critics all over the place saying running for president because of his last name. Not of his accomplishments, just because of his daddy.
Right.
Tax cuts are only going to benefit the wealthy. He's got no foreign policy experience. He's not ready for any kind of a crisis. This guy doesn't have what it takes.
Read my lips, no new taxes.
Dude, that's pretty good, man. Okay, so that's 2000, his critics said that. 2001 to 2009. Okay, this is also the time period when it had a name. Do you remember the name with the market, the decade?
Yeah, we often call this the lost decade.
Yes.
Because there were actually 2 market crashes during this time. One from 2000 to 2002, so 3 years of negative returns.
Yep.
And we call that sometimes the dot-com crash. And then also 0809, which we refer to as the Great Recession or the credit crisis.
Yes.
You know, another big downturn.
9/11.
Which was part of 9/11. Yep.
Wars going on. We had all this stuff going on during that decade.
Exactly, was in there. Yeah, the beginning of that. Yep. And so you add all that together and you get a negative return of 2.9% per year for George Walker Bush.
So during W's tenure, we had negative over that entire 10 years. All right, let's keep this thing rocking. We're going into Mr. Obama. 44th U.S. president, 09 to 17. In 2008, his critics were saying inexperience. He's only served 2 years as U.S. Senate before running for president. And just words is what he's saying. This whole rhetoric and his campaign promises, people are just saying, he's just yakking. Just words. His goals were for a large stimulus bill, healthcare plan that would explode the national debt. So people were freaking out about that.
Yep.
So as it pertains to the stock market,
Right.
what did President Obama do?
So during his tenure, which was another 8-year stretch, this S&P 500 returned an average annual return of 14.5%.
14.5. Okay, so there we go. We're going up and up and up. And then we get into the Donald.
Yep.
The Donald. 2016, 45th U.S. president from 17 to 21. And obviously this was a big shakeup. I remember this, obviously. This is when a lot of people were flipping out, like, what is going on? Is he actually the nominee? That whole thing that went through.
Yep.
Talking about he's never even held a political office. He's just a celebrity. He doesn't speak or act in any way presidential whatsoever.
Right.
He just,
Mean tweets.
Mean tweets, the orange man. Trade war with China is going to damage the U.S. economy and doing all this stuff. How do you do with the market? What did he do to the U.S. market?
Positive 16% during the 4 years of Mr. President Donald Trump.
So we're seeing this. We're seeing this track record now.
Right.
Obviously, with Bush, that was that decade of all kinds of stuff going
Yep.
on. Okay, but right in there between 14 and 16%, no matter who is in office.
Right.
Democrat
Yeah.
versus Republican.
Yeah.
Okay, we got one more, Rick, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Last one is President Joe Biden. And that's, of course, 2021 to the present, because he's still in office. At least that's what they tell us.
Is he still there?
Right.
I don't see him anymore.
I know. So
I thought he was just lounging on the beach or something.
maybe we'll leave that for a Kelly show in the
All right, okay,
prior.
fine. 46 U.S. President Joe Biden.
And-
And everybody was saying all kinds of stuff about him.
Yeah.
Too old to be president.
Yep.
Career politician. He's been in office for 273 years.
Right.
More of a vice president than a president. Kind of needs to take second. Well, he got in. Okay. How did the market respond to him?
So far, positive 13.1% for President Joe Biden.
And we don't even see him, and yet the market's trending 13 on average
Yeah.
percent. Folks,
Basically, the market doesn't care.
The market doesn't care.
There's your bottom line punchline is, yes, presidents do have an effect, on the economy in our nation to some degree, but by and large, we cannot determine that the market will be up or down due to which president is in the office.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. When we come back from a quick break, we'll have a few more things to say about this. Don't go anywhere. Back in 2 minutes.
Don't touch that dial. Patrick will be right back.
You've heard me say it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedoms you need to live your dream retirement. When it comes to the health side, I want to tell you about my family's personal chiropractor, Dr. Todd Royce, owner of Chiropractic First. Not only does he adjust us and get us back to our active lives, he teaches us about ongoing nutrition and living healthier. If you have any pain or stiffness in your back or neck, I want you to call Chiropractic First today at 243-0889. Mention Patrick for a free consultation. You don't need to live with pain or discomfort anymore. Call Dr. Todd at 243-0889 or visit online at chirofirst.net. So let's talk about rising costs for a second. Are you feeling the squeeze of inflation right now? Does it feel like everywhere you go, prices are just getting higher and higher? From groceries to gas to travel, inflation affects all of it. A lot of people are concerned and wondering, what do I do? This is where I'm going to use the B word. That's right, you probably guessed it, a budget. Now, if you're like most people, creating a budget is bad enough, but sticking to it, even worse. So here's a tip. Don't call it a budget. Call it a spending plan. Everyone loves to spend money, so let's just have a plan for it. Sound good? I'll even go a step further. I'll provide you the spending plan document, so all you have to do is fill it in. Easy, quick, and you can just review it to make sure you're following your plan. Visit patrickmcnally.com today and get a free copy of our spending plan. I know it will help. Once you can see where the money's going, you can control it better. That's the secret. Go to patrickmcnally.com and get your free copy. That's patrickmcnally.com. Is it finally time to quit your job and retire? Hold your horses there, my friend. Let's make sure you've thought this thing all the way through. Like for starters, what are you going to do with your retirement plan at work? Whether it's a 401k, 403b, 457, or any other workplace retirement plan, you've got some important decisions to make when it comes time to walk away from your desk for good. Do you cash it out and pay off debt? Do you roll it over to another plan? What about required distributions? These are just a few of the questions you need to be asking yourself so you don't make a big mistake and send Uncle Sam a bunch of unnecessary taxes early. So here's the deal. I want to give you a free copy of my special report, The 11 Biggest Rollover Blunders and How to Avoid Them. I'll walk you through a checklist of questions to ask and how to navigate the best way to protect your life savings so you can enjoy it for years to come. Take a few minutes right now and visit patrickmcnally.com to get your free copy. Save yourself a bunch of heartburn and avoid all of the costly mistakes people make when they get this wrong. Get your free copy of the 11 Biggest Rollover Blunders and How to Avoid Them at patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com.
Welcome back to Retirement Lifestyles.
Welcome back to the show. All right, we just came off talking about the election and what type of, what's going to happen to the market if a Democrat gets in or Republican gets in. And basically the answer is really not that much if we can look to history as a guide.
It's unpredictable, number one. And number two is there were positive results pretty much across the board when you look at a long enough time frame, which the presidents are in for 4 to 8 years.
Yes.
My rule of thumb is, hey, if you need this money in 5 years or less, well, maybe you shouldn't have it in the market. And so with these results, they kind of confirm that, right? They're showing, hey, a longer period of time, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we always say when we do planning, is it's about time in the market, not trying to time the market.
That's right.
You got to put a plan in place, especially if you're in retirement. You have an income plan generating money from your investments. You don't want to mess that up. You don't want to just freak out and go to cash.
Yeah.
And then the opposite happens. The market's at all-time highs right now. It's cranking right now.
Yep.
And we don't even know where our president's at.
Yeah.
So think about that. And think about no matter what's going. And I always kind of joke with clients about this in the office. No matter what's going on in the world, people are still buying Diet Coke.
Right. We're still, living our daily lives, and exactly.
Companies make profits and generate, products.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So I wouldn't worry about that, guys. Now, that's not to say, Rick, that there's not other things to worry about. A couple weeks ago, we did a thing on taxes, the difference between the Harris plan versus the proposals of the Harris plan versus the Trump plan. And that's a big one right there. So if you need to look into it, I wouldn't look to the market returns as, well, who do I vote for to do a better market? No.
Yeah.
But be looking at other areas like taxes.
Yeah, because that does personally affect you,
Yes.
and that does have, whereas, again, the market isn't necessarily correlated to which color of president we have in there in terms of red or blue, kind of thing, Democrat, Republican. But the taxes obviously do affect you on a yearly basis when you file those taxes, depending on which tax policy is in effect.
Now, we'll say what could potentially affect markets would be from a taxation, kind of the spillover or ripple effect, I guess is the way to say that. You start taxing big corporations and changing corporate tax. I mean, could that potentially, Rick, filter into businesses and corporations,
sure,
and then that affect their stock price, and that affect
it could, but eventually it'll all work out.
It does. It all works out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want a copy of the Democrat versus Republican in the market kind of a thing, at the break, we got to go to another quick break because we were yakking too much before. But you can call the station at 221-1402. Just do it right now during the break, 221-1402. I'll email it right to you, and we will be back in just a minute.
Did you guys know when I'm not here doing my weekend job hosting the show, I own a financial planning firm called Retirement Lifestyles Advisors. We're a $50 million independent registered investment advisory firm located right here in Reading, serving clients all over the United States. I've been doing the radio show now for 13 years, and I've been in financial services for over 25, helping people ages 55 plus plan for an amazing retirement. Most people getting close to retiring share a common concern: running out of money. That's why our advisors specialize in building plans that can provide a retirement income that's consistent, predictable, and increases every year no matter what the market does. An income that will last throughout your retirement and beyond. Our number one goal for you is peace of mind. At Retirement Lifestyles, we like to say that it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedom to live your dream retirement. So if you want to learn how to do that, visit us at patrickmcnally.com to learn more about how to create your own retirement lifestyle plan today. We have programs where you can do it yourself, where we can come alongside and help you, or we can make it easy and handle it all for you. Learn more today at patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com. Let's talk Social Security for a minute. Are you at the point where you're thinking about starting your income benefits? Have you run the numbers and the different scenarios to make sure that you're making the right decision? If not, I highly recommend you consider downloading a free copy of my 2024 Social Security Quick Reference Guide. This guide provides key Social Security numbers to help you plan and give you the confidence that it's the right time to start your benefits. You want to be confident in your decision because once you make it, you can't go back. You lock in your benefits at your current age, and that's what you get. I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to understand how important this decision is. We're here to help you in any way that we can. Start by getting your free copy of my 2024 Social Security Quick Reference Guide. I know it will help. Visit patrickmcnally.com to get yours. That website again is patrickmcnally.com. Say it with me one time, patrickmcnally.com.
Welcome back to Retirement Lifestyles.
Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Retirement Lifestyles. I'm your host, Patrick McNally. With me, Mr. Rick Comerick. We're in the second half of the show. We're going to keep this thing rolling with some news stuff. So, Rick, you got a market update for us? What's going on?
I do. Here's the weekly wrap for this prior week. The stock market closed out another winning week with the S&P 500 and Dow Jones at fresh record highs. Gains were relatively broad-based, driven by ongoing momentum as stocks continued to hit those record highs. The equal-weighted S&P 500 settled 1.1% higher than last Friday. Semiconductor stocks were a pocket of weakness with mostly upbeat news elsewhere. The semiconductor index dropped 2.4% this week in response to a Bloomberg report that the Biden administration is looking at curbing sales of advanced AI chips to certain countries with a focus on Persian Gulf countries. A lot of the earnings news this week was well received, contributing to the overall positive bias. Healthcare sector's performance was one of the two sectors that closed lower, the other one being a decline in energy, negative 2.6% drop in oil prices. I think the price of a barrel of oil is down to like $68, something of that nature. And so for that one, for me, it's always, a love-hate, right? You want to see those oil prices down so that you hopefully can pay lower at the pump. But then for our energy stocks, we want to see it up so that we can have a higher return on our investment there. Market participants were also weighing the notion that the Fed won't be as aggressive as previously thought after more solid economic data. This week's releases included September retail sales, which were stronger than expected, and initial jobless claims, which were not as bad as feared.
Okay, good stuff, man. Now, one of the things that you said there, the market's at all-time highs right now.
Yep.
And we don't quite know where Biden is.
Right.
And we're kind of still tongue-in-cheek, because if you missed the first half of the show, we talked about the last 40-plus years of presidents and their effect on the actual stock market, specifically the market, on the returns. And so with everybody up in arms right now about what's going to be happening with the election here in a few weeks, is the market just going to tank? Is it going to crash?
Right.
My prediction, like I've done for the last 13 years on this show, and you as well, is we're going to see some bump.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bumpy ride. I would predict for a month maybe.
Right.
And then guess what? We know who's in office. We know who's going to get put in. We know what to expect, and the market kind of corrects itself. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you alluded to earlier as far as, could these policies have an effect, so on and so forth. And certainly they will, as far as, we'll see some bumps, but then the market will essentially process that information, prices will change, bake it in, and then moving forward. However, if we stretch that out over a month or two to a year or two, the reality is that it will just kind of be lost in the noise as far as over that longer period of time.
Yeah, and we only went back 40 years of presidencies.
Right.
We in past shows we went back to like the 60s, didn't we? I maybe should have brought that old list back in, but it's the same story.
Right.
Does not matter Republican, Democrat. The market doesn't care at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Given enough time in the market goes up.
Right.
And so you got to be patient. You got to be diligent. Stick to your plan. Don't, shoot from the hip, freak out. I will say this, the commercials for gold and precious metals are at an all-time high right now. The media, the marketing engine for that is going huge.
They love to play on fear on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, right there, fear. That's the biggest thing right now.
Yeah.
Pull all your money out of the markets and avoid the crash and put it in gold.
Right.
Okay, let's pull everything out and put it in something that goes, you have a 50% chance. It either goes up or down.
Right,
Two choices there.
Yeah.
doesn't employ anyone, doesn't create any products,
Yep.
doesn't
Has no
pay a
sales.
dividend, has no sales,
Yeah.
looks really pretty in jewelry,
Right.
but and you can't take your gold down to Holiday and chip off a few pieces for your eggs. I don't know if they're doing
Right.
that, if they're taking that yet.
Right.
Anyway, all right, enough of my rant on gold.
Yeah.
You can probably tell I'm not a big gold fan. But my point is, stick to your plan and follow it. Rick, we had to skip a segment because we were yakking, but we want to talk about what you should do with your 401k when you retire from your job. There's a couple of choices here, so that's kind of my rough segue into if you are getting close to retiring, because we get this all the time. Like if you're aging like 58 to 65, right in that range, and you're like, I need to retire. I've got this 401k at work. What do I do once that day comes? There's a few choices. Rick, number one, they can cash it in.
Yeah, you can get a check in the mail and deposit that into your checking account, and that will be what we call a taxable distribution. First of all, they will automatically withhold 20% of your retirement for tax withholding, which may or may not be enough. And so you still owe taxes, and then you'll deposit the rest into your check account. So that's the cash it in option. The next option is
leave it there, potentially.
Yeah, maybe if
depends on the plan.
More than $5,000, depending on the plan, you might be able to leave it there. But some do have force out provisions, so that might not be an option either.
Yeah. The best option that we feel for most people, especially when you're no longer going to be at your company, is roll it over into your own IRA.
What this does for you is it gets it out of the company 401k, out of HR, out of administration. Now you have direct control over it, and if you choose to have an advisor help you with that, they can, but you're no longer dealing with the bureaucracy of your old company. Therefore, you have direct access to your money, and you can affect that rollover in a tax-free transfer.
Absolutely.
If you do it right.
If you do it right. You check the wrong box, you could have a nightmare next April.
Yep.
But so you want to be careful with that. The other thing too, Rick, is that it opens them up to the world of investments. You might be kind of restricted to maybe a handful of investments in your 401k, in your job plan. But once you roll that into your own IRA, now you are in control. The world is at your fingertips.
Yeah, maybe you want a specific stock or U.S. Treasury or CD or something like that you can't get in your 401k. Well, you very well probably get it in your IRA because there's only a few, disallowed investments like life insurance, things like that are not allowed in IRAs.
So do it right. Take your time when you do this. This is a huge decision. When you get paperwork, it's gonna be like 30 pages long. It can be and you only need like 2 pages out of the 30. But it can be really confusing. So find somebody you trust, find an advisor to help you fill that out. Do it right, and like Rick said, avoid mandatory 20% withholding if you do it wrong, and all of that. And at the end of the day, you don't want to blow up your retirement account in the first year that you retire.
Right.
Which unfortunately a lot of people do that. They're like, well, I'm just going to pay off my whole house.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Are you going to withhold the 30%? Because you don't own 100% of your retirement account.
Right.
You own about 70 of it.
Yep.
Because the other 30 goes to taxes.
That's right.
Your silent partner wants his cut.
Yeah.
So you got to plan for that.
Or more. It could be close to 50%, depending on your tax
bracket. Exactly.
Because you add the state on top of the federal, and boom, you very well could be
now
at
you're
50%.
just depressing me. You're throwing state on top of it? Dude.
And I could throw some penalties on
there.
No,
I don't want you to throw anything else on there.
All right.
Okay, point is, do it right. Speak to somebody to help you if you're getting to that stage in life. We'd be happy to help you. You can go to patrickmcnally.com, schedule a phone call. We can walk you through that. We got to go to another break. When we come back, though, we're going to be talking about some comments and questions from the audience. This is one of my favorite segments, so don't go anywhere. Back in 2 minutes.
Smooth. You're listening to Retirement Lifestyles with Patrick McNally.
Okay, guys, so we're taking a quick break, and I thought this would be a great time to invite you to join the Retirement Lifestyles Inner Circle. If you like listening to the radio show, you're going to love this. Each and every week, I'm going to email you all of our most updated financial planning tips and strategies right to your inbox. On top of that, whenever we create a new checklist or a guide, you'll be the first to get it. all the updated numbers for Social Security, Medicare, taxes, and more. You'll get previews of upcoming live radio shows and notifications of when we record new videos. Membership to the Inner Circle is free, so don't wait. Sign up today at patrickmcnally.com and get immediate access to our exclusive content. Visit patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com. You've heard me say it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedoms you need to live your dream retirement. When it comes to the health side, I want to tell you about my family's personal chiropractor, Dr. Todd Royce, owner of Chiropractic First. Not only does he adjust us and get us back to our active lives, he teaches us about ongoing nutrition and living healthier. If you have any pain or stiffness in your back or neck, I want you to call Chiropractic First today at 243-0889. Mention Patrick for a free consultation. You don't need to live with pain or discomfort anymore. Call Dr. Todd at 243-0889. Or visit online at chirofirst.net. Do you have questions about Medicare? Are you getting close to 65? Do you know someone coming up on 65? If so, Medicare is right around the corner, and if it hasn't happened already, your mailbox is about to explode with Medicare information from insurance companies. Which company do you pick? What's Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D? Oh my gosh, how many parts are there? Is Medicare automatic? Is it free? Does it cover everything? These are just some of the questions we get all the time. If you want to cut through all the noise and learn the facts, I want to give you a free copy of my 2024 Medicare Quick Reference Guide. You'll know when all the important enrollment periods begin, what the updated costs are for the different parts, and the new annual deductibles. It will also show you all of the different supplemental insurance plans to choose from and the differences in their benefits. This is a wonderful resource for yourself, or if you know someone getting close to age 65 that has questions. Simply visit patrickmcnally.com today and you can request a free copy of the 2024 Medicare Quick Reference Guide. Go to patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com.
Welcome back to Retirement Lifestyles.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us. This is the show where it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedom to live your dream retirement. I'm your host, Patrick McNally, with me, Mr. Rick Comerick. And, you know, this show is about retirement. If you've never really heard this before or just need a little refresher, if you are close to retiring or you're already there, that's what this is all about. And that's why each and every week we bring you the topics on IRAs, Medicare, Social Security, taxes, estate planning, all of these key areas of planning that you need to be looking at and making sure that you are prepared for this next stage of life. Rick, going into retirement for a lot of people, it's like, you know, you've been working 30, 40 years, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, putting in the time.
Yep.
You know, you got two days a weekend there. You kind of get in this thing, and all of a sudden, it can be kind of like screeching the brakes when you go straight into retiring. And can kind of be an eye-opener, and a lot of people can kind of go through like an emotional roller coaster, if you will.
Oh, yeah. It's a big life change. It's one of the major life events is retirement. You know, getting married or moving or retiring is definitely a major life event and a major life change.
And when you are no longer getting a paycheck from a job, that kind of throws a little extra pressure on top of it. And so that's why we always talk about the planning. We always talk about, you know, making sure before you take that final paycheck, you've got a plan in place for your income, for your expenses, and for everything else. And what type of investments do you use for that? I can tell you right now, they will be different from the ones you used to get you to where you are. Wouldn't you agree with that, Rick, that you should probably be investing a tad bit differently in your 60s than you did in your 20s?
Right, exactly. Because when you're investing before your retirement, you're adding money in. It's actually not that hard. Make the deposits. Yeah. Of course, you want to make sure you're doing the right things. But when you're investing in retirement, you're no longer adding money, but rather you're withdrawing money from your investment. So you want to transition to have a focus on obtaining income from your investments at that point.
Yep. So if you got questions about that, we'd love to talk to you. Go to patrickmcnally.com, reach out to us. Also, if you have questions or comments you'd love for us to read or talk about on the show, I've set up a little thing on there that you can send us those questions and comments. We would be happy to bring those up. And speaking of some of those questions and comments, I've got a few here, Rick, that we can walk through. A couple of fun ones here. And this was just a comment. She said, "One step closer, I'm paying my house off Saturday."
Ooh, that's an exciting time. I mean, that's one of those, I think Dave Ramsey fans like to rip up their mortgage statement, something like that. But you can call me Debbie Downer if you want. But
I had some thoughts too, so I want to see what. Okay, you start.
Well, I have an eye for taxes, right?
Yes.
I'm always thinking about the tax piece, and there's something that we here in California and probably many states have real estate tax, which means that as long as you own your property, you owe real estate tax, and that is never paid off. They charge you that every year. As a matter of fact, they charge you twice a year on real estate tax.
So I'm going to be even more of a Debbie Downer.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna one up you on the Debbie Downer.
Yeah,
I see your pay off your house and raise you. You never actually own your property because you made that comment. Once you own your property, you still continue to pay the taxes. You actually never really own your property,
right?
Which is a big downer. You may not have a mortgage,
right,
or a loan that you're paying on anymore,
right.
But you don't actually own the property, and you want to find out real quick, you just don't pay your taxes.
Yeah, don't pay those real estate taxes and see what happens on the ownership of that property.
Yeah, somebody shows up your doorstep and says, time for you to move.
Right, we've got a lien, and the lien says
Bye-bye.
we own it. Yeah.
So I love the fact, and it feels good, pay off, you have no mortgage or anything like that, but just understanding what that looks like. However, this kind of goes back also to the 401k. And we already said this, but I'll say it again. You need to be very careful if you're thinking about paying off your house with your 401k.
Oh my goodness. This is an area where you have to go into it with eyes wide open. Yeah. I had a client who went into it eyes wide open. So he knew ahead of time exactly how much tax he would pay, because if you cash out your IRA 401k, you owe taxes on those dollars.
Yes.
You had a client, someone that...
No, they didn't become a client.
Yeah, before they were a client.
I wish they had 6 months prior.
They should have seen you prior, because when they came in, they told you what?
They basically were super excited. Man and a wife came in, super excited, and they said, we paid off I retired 3 months ago, and we paid off our house. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations. You set aside the taxes from the 401k, right?
Right.
I saw his wife's face go white. She just kind of looked at him, and he was just kind of like, no, I didn't.
Wow.
And I said, did you use the entire 401k to pay off the house? He said, yes. It was like $500,000.
Yeah, so you think $500,000 added onto your tax return on top of all the other income in that particular year, you're probably bumping to the highest bracket at that point.
And they had to somehow find...
Yeah, you got to find
I don't even remember what the number was. We did a... I don't know if it helped them or not. We did a calculation on what the tax bill was going to be.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that money set aside.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, this is why planning comes into place, and not just, we get excited to just pay stuff off.
Right.
Because it makes us feel great to pay stuff off.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is you got to remember, from an investment standpoint, you can pay your house off. All that equity in your house,
right.
Let's say you got $500,000 of equity in your house,
right.
It actually earns a 0% rate of return.
Right. Well, what do you mean? Isn't my house value go up over time?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
if you find somebody that wants to pay you more for your house. Now,
right.
I think it does. It appreciates.
Does. But the point that you're making is, regardless if you have a loan or not, your house will go up or down in value.
Absolutely.
So you're going to get that. The question is, what about that equity that's in there now? What does that itself earn? And it's earning zero. Yeah.
Zero, because it's sitting in your house. And
right.
the other Debbie Downer, I guess, is if you ever wanted to go get that money out,
right.
What you got to do?
Right, you got to apply for a loan.
You got to take a loan on your money.
You got to qualify for it.
You got to qualify. Wait. It's my equity.
Right.
I paid into this house.
Yeah.
It's my money. The only way I can get it out is to take a loan on it.
Right. Yep.
Oh, man, it's set up. Oh, the way the banking system's set up.
Yep.
The other thing, too, Rick, I would say, and we got to go one more break, is if you've got like a 3% loan,
right,
or 2.5% loan some people got, don't be paying off your house.
Right, because you're not going to find that elsewhere.
No.
Not in this environment.
If you ever decide to move or anything like I don't think we'll ever see those rates again.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that or predict that. Maybe we will, but you need to take another look at whether or not you should actually pay that off, because that is a low rate.
Right, and again, talking about the cash in the bank, you could very well be making 4% in a money market fund.
Absolutely.
And
paid to pay your mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. You
Arbitrage.
get paid
That's what banks do to us.
Exactly. Get paid. And you have access to your principal in the bank such that if an emergency came up, you have some funds available without getting a loan.
There you go. Love it. Yeah. All that to say, guys, and we're going to quick break, is there's options for you.
And it may or may not be the right decision. You just got to look at the options.
That's exactly right. Because I have to... We're nerds. We look at all the numbers and all the different, planning that way. But at the end of the day, there's the emotional factor, too, of that feeling of peace of mind, knowing that your house is paid off, you don't have a payment on it anymore, except the taxes.
Right.
But you don't have a big mortgage payment, and that makes us feel good, and that is a valid reason to do it.
Yeah.
So talking to a planner, though, and making sure you do it right is the way to do it. We got one more break to go to, so we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Don't touch that dial. Patrick will be right back.
Okay, guys, so we're taking a quick break, and I thought this would be a great time to invite you to join the Retirement Lifestyles Inner Circle. If you like listening to the radio show, you're going to love this. Each and every week, I'm going to email you all of our most updated financial planning tips and strategies right to your inbox. On top of that, whenever we create a new checklist or a guide, you'll be the first to get it. All the updated numbers for Social Security, Medicare, taxes, and more. You'll get previews of upcoming live radio shows and notifications of when we record new videos. Membership to the Inner Circle is free, so don't wait. Sign up today at patrickmcnally.com and get immediate access to our exclusive content. Visit patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com. So let's talk about rising costs for a second. Are you feeling the squeeze of inflation right now? Does it feel like everywhere you go, prices are just getting higher and higher? From groceries to gas to travel, inflation affects all of it. A lot of people are concerned and wondering, what do I do? This is where I'm going to use the B word. That's right, you probably guessed it, a budget. Now, if you're like most people, creating a budget is bad enough, but sticking to it, even worse. So here's a tip. Don't call it a budget. Call it a spending plan. Everyone loves to spend money, so let's just have a plan for it. Sound good? I'll even go a step further. I'll provide you the spending plan document, so all you have to do is fill it in. Easy, quick, and you can just review it to make sure you're following your plan. Visit patrickmcnally.com today and get a free copy of our spending plan. I know it will help. Once you can see where the money's going, you can control it better. That's the secret. Go to patrickmcnally.com and get your free copy. That's patrickmcnally.com. Okay, you guys, let's discuss long-term care planning. Yeah, I know, it's not the funnest thing to think about in retirement. You'd rather be planning your next vacation, maybe doing some gardening, playing golf, or hanging out with the grandkids. I get it. That's why I want to help you get this vitally important area of your planning off of your shoulders. You may not want to admit it, but I know you're thinking about it. What happens if I need some extra help later on in life? Guess what? There's a high chance that we all will. What if you need help walking or bathing or just moving from the chair to the kitchen table to eat dinner? Is your spouse strong enough to carry you? Would you need to call your kids or a neighbor? This is the reality of long-term care. Medicare won't pay for it. This is all on you. So what are your choices? How much does it cost? Are there any alternatives? I want to send you a free copy of my long-term care planning options guide. It covers 9 different options to help you plan ahead for this possibility. Should you buy insurance? A reverse mortgage? Pay it out of pocket? It just depends on your personal needs. Get your free copy of the long-term care planning options. Visit patrickmcnally.com. That's patrickmcnally.com.
Welcome back to Retirement Lifestyles.
Welcome back. I'm going to say welcome back, and then we're going to say goodbye, Rick, in about
Welcome back.
2 minutes.
Bye-bye. Well, can you leave us on a high note? Like, give us some positive vision for some healthy activities that we could do in our lives over the next week or so.
Why don't we do that?
Let's
you know
do
what?
that.
We had to skip over because we got into the whole stock market and presidencies and all that stuff. And if you missed any of that, guys, this is a great loaded show. Go to patrickmcnally.com. Show will be up there later on this afternoon, maybe tomorrow, and you can listen to it. If you do have concerns about what the next administration is going to do to the stock market, we kind of went through that. But yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I think Rick, we were kind of talking about, a little bit of a health tip about walking, about doing this stuff. So I've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks now. I've been getting about 10,000 steps a day.
Okay.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
10,000 per day. And it sounds like a humongous number.
Okay.
I think if you really, I'm almost able to do it before 8 a.m. because I go
All
to the
10,000?
gym. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm correct. Good. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
I can get over half of it done
Okay.
before 8 a.m.
Before 8 a.m. Okay. Yeah.
And that's with about 30 to 40 minutes on the treadmill
Okay.
at the gym at a moderate pace.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. I'm not running.
Yeah.
I hate running.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that from CrossFit. I hate running.
Yep.
But walking at a brisk pace, like where you can still carry a conversation, but you are kind of winded. That's kind of the normal there. I'm able to get 5,000 to 6,000 steps in. I still do a little workout as well before 8 a.m.
Nice.
And then during the day, I love this because you obviously know this. I have a stand-up desk at work and a little mini treadmill that I can just kind of pull out real quick from under the desk and go for another 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and no problem. I've been getting to 12,000, 13,000 steps.
Nice.
And I'm already noticing some of the good effects.
Oh, that's great.
And so if you're out there, I want to encourage you guys. If you don't work out, if you're like, I just don't even set foot in a gym, start walking. It's beautiful out now. It's nice and cool in the morning.
Yep.
Just start out walking a half hour. You can walk around your block. It'll take you about a half hour. Just go for a walk around your block.
Yeah, exactly.
And you get those steps in, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to feel more energized. And there's our quick tip.
Yeah, one doctor I know, he prescribes a puppy to his patients because to get them to go walk the dog, and that gets them out to walk.
Take a furry friend with you.
Yep.
All right, guys, go to patrickmcnally.com, catch the show if you missed any of it. With that, I'm going to say thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, Kelly. And thank you for listening to Retirement Lifestyles.